Good morning, fourth grade. This today we are going to start reviewing for our tests. We are going to have our food web review, and we're going to talk about different parts of the food web. Our test will be this Thursday, May 6th. You will take the test during homeroom. Throughout the week, we will have different lessons and different practice tests, and I will also be stopping by everyone's homeroom to review and help you prepare for the test. Let's get started on today's lesson so we can review and talk a bit more about food webs. So what is a food web? As we learned through this unit, we saw that a food web is a chart that uses different arrows to show how the food and energy flow through different organisms. For example, this shows a picture of a forest food chain. We see that at the bottom of the food chain are these different plants, and from these plants there are different arrows. For example, if we look at the skunk cabbage, we see there are two arrows pointing to it. One to the porcupine and then another one to the grizzly bear. These arrows tell us that both the porcupine and the grizzly bear eat the cabbage for energy. However, our food web does not stop there. For example, if we go up the food web, there are different animals like the red squirrel. Now, the red squirrel gets its energy from the Stickle spruce tree. However, the red squirrel also can give energy to another animal as it is eaten by a marten. This is just one example of a food web. There are many different organisms that make up food web and different foods that they can eat. Now, there are different parts that make up the food web. Some organisms are able to make their own food, and some other organisms need to depend on other animals for their energy. Organisms that are able to make their own food are called producers. Producers are mainly plants, and they are able to use sun rays to make their own energy and be able to grow. Producers like plants, flowers, vegetables, algae, they usually start out every food web or food chain, and they provide food for other animals that are known as consumers. Consumers cannot make their own food. These are organisms who have to eat other organisms, whether it's a plant or another animal. These organisms eat other organisms to get energy. Some organisms prefer to eat plants, others prefer to eat other animals, and some prefer to eat both. So there are three different types of consumers. A hare, a lion, and a bear are all examples of consumers, but each of these different organisms have a different preference onto what they like to eat. Let's look at the different examples of consumers. Our first is herbivores. Herbivores are one type of consumers. Herbivores are consumers that only like to eat plants. They'll eat grass, flowers, or different vegetables. Even though they are not eating other animals, they are still consumers. They are just called herbivores because they like to eat different types of herbs or grass. Although herbivores like to eat grass, there are other different types of consumers. These consumers are known as carnivores. Carnivores are another type of consumers. These consumers, known as carnivores, like to eat meat, meaning that they will eat another consumer. For example, a hawk, wolf, and snake are all examples of consumers. The food that they like to eat is mainly a different animals, and sometimes it's mainly other herbivores. Carnivores are a consumer that like to eat meat. And then there are also some consumers that are called omnivores. Omnivores are also consumers. However, omnivores are different because they will eat both plants like grass and flowers and also other animals. Chickens, pigs, bears, and even people are examples of omnivores. These organisms may choose to eat different plants or different vegetables, but they will also eat other meat. These omnivores will eat different carnivores, will probably eat herbivores, and even eat producers. Remember, in a food web, there are producers and there are consumers. Producers, like a plant, are those organisms that are able to make their own food, like vegetables, trees, flowers. Those are all examples of producers. With consumers, there are many different types of consumers. There are consumers that are herbivores, meaning that they will only eat plants. There are consumers that are carnivores, that will eat other animals. And then there are also omnivores. Those are those consumers that will eat other animals or plants. Now let's take a look at this food web. Answer me on Edipuzzle. What do you think would happen if the rabbit population that we have just ran out? There was no more rabbits. What do you think will happen to the rest of this food chain? What do you think will happen to the cougars? What will you think happen to the mountain lions? Thank you for sharing your thinking. If in an environment the rabbit population was completely left out, it would affect the whole entire food web. Cougars wouldn't have enough food to eat, and neither would mountain lions. Of course, these animals still have the deer, but there is not enough deer. And when there is not enough deer, they really won't have that much options. If there was no rabbits, these animals will be fighting to get this deer. The amount of cougars will decrease as the amount of mountain lions, as the amount of deer. See, when one organism disappears in a food web, all the organisms are affected because there is not enough food to go around. I hope this review helped you prepare for the test and review the different material that you will see on your test. Remember, you have your test will be on Thursday, May 6th. You guys have access to your study guide, Quizlet, and I am sharing the Odaloo link on Google Classroom. If you guys have any questions, please visit me during office hours. I am there from 2 o'clock all the way to 3:30. If you're unable to log into Odaloo, visit me there. I will help you get logged in. If you have a question about the test, visit me during office hours. I will clear up any questions that you have. If you just want some practice and want to take a practice test with me, come on. Just whatever you may have, visit me during office hours and I will be glad to help you. Enjoy your Monday and remember to study. I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.